Jeremy Swayman is a legitimate Vezina trophy candidate, and if the Bruins are going to have any chance of success down the he's going to have to remain at the top of his game.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans? I am Ian McLaren. Today is April 7th, and on this episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, we are going to discuss why Jeremy Swayman is a Vezina trophy candidate as the top goalie in the NHL this season. We will also put that in the context of the Eastern Conference power rankings and preview tonight's game against the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll also, of course, update the playoff odds where the Bruins, still with 4 games remaining, have a very strong chance of clinching a postseason berth and fighting for this year's Stanley Cup championship. Are they going to win it? Probably not. But if they have any chance, then Jeremy Swayman will have to play at like a Conn Smythe trophy level and continue the stellar play that has seen him rise to the top of the key stat that we look at these days when it comes to goaltending. Traditionally, it's been goals against average, save percentage, which is at like a 30-year low across the NHL. These days, one of the key stats is goals saved above expected. And right now, Jeremy Swayman is the number one goalie at goals saved above expected in all situations this season. And he's number one when it comes to goals saved above expected at 5-on-5. Now, what exactly does goals saved above expected mean? So goals saved above expected is an advanced statistic that evaluates a goalie's performance by comparing the actual goals allowed to the expected goals against them. And expected goals calculated for each shot based on factors like shot distance, angle, goalie positioning, the number of defenders that are back helping out the goalie. So if it's a 2-on-1, that's different than a cycle around the zone where everybody's positioned to help defend the goal, and whether the shot was a rebound or a rush. And each shot is assigned a probability of scoring, and these probabilities are to determine the total expected goals for a game or for a season. So, for example, if a goalie faces shots totaling 2.42 expected goals in a game, but allows 3 goals, their goals expected above or goals saved above expected is negative 0.58, meaning they allowed slightly more goals than expected. But if they allow only 1 goal against 2.42 expected, their goals saved above expected is 1.42. Right now, Jeremy Swayman at 5-on-5 is at 28.3. And in all situations, he's at 28.5. Ahead of every goalie in the NHL with the minimums games played of 1. Ilya Sorokin, Logan Thompson, Andrei Vasilevsky, Igor Shesterkin round out the top 5 in terms of all situations. And then at 5-on-5, it's Thompson, Sorokin, Shesterkin, and Jakub Dobish of the Montreal Canadiens. And this is reinforced by the fact that the Boston Bruins are not a very good possession team. They, at 5-on-5, where the majority of the game is played, they rank 18th in the NHL in shot attempt differential. When it comes to shot differential at 5-on-5, they rank 19th. So they regularly allow more shots than they generate, which tells us that in Bruins games at 5-on-5, Swayman or Jonas Korpisalo generally busier than the opposition's goalie, meaning they're always kind of on higher alert and have to be sharper to keep the puck out of the net. When it comes to scoring chances at 5-on-5, the Bruins rank 24th in the NHL in that differential. And when it comes to high danger chances, so those are shots within that kind of home plate area, rebounds, odd man rushes, the Bruins rank 26th in the NHL when it comes to high danger chance differential at 5-on-5. And then when we look at expected goals, the Bruins rank 27th in the NHL in terms of expected goal differential. The Bruins' expected goals 5-on-5 is at 169, and the expected goals against is at 141. Oh, sorry, that's actual goals. Expected goals, the Bruins are at 158 for and 181 against. So in reality, they have about 11 goals scored above and 41 goals saved above expected. Their goals for differential is actually 54.52, and their expected goal differential is around 46.66. So that tells us a couple things. A, their shooting percentage is a bit elevated, and we've seen that come down over the last few games where they have averaged only 1 goal per game over the course of this 3-game losing streak. 1 goal against the Florida Panthers, 1 goal against the Tampa Bay Lightning, 1 goal against the Philadelphia Flyers. Still, their shooting percentage 5-on-5 is 6th best in the NHL. When it comes to goaltending, their save percentage is 5th in the NHL at 5-on-5. And if we look at all situations, it's even better for the Boston Bruins. Their save percentage is 6th. Their shooting percentage also 6th. And their PDO, which is adding both of those up, they rank 5th. If you look at the expected goals in all situations, the Bruins rank 26th in expected goal differential, but actual goal differential, they come in much higher at 11th. So you can see the disparity there between expected goals and actual goals, and there's a huge disparity when it comes to goals allowed. In all situations, the Bruins have an expected goals allowed of 284.03, which is 31st in the NHL. If you look at actual goals allowed, the Bruins rank much better. And if you look at actual goals allowed, the Bruins rank, let's see here, 11th at 237. The expected goals is 284.03. So they've allowed about 50, almost 50 fewer than they have been expected to allow. And that is a testament to Jeremy Swayman and to Jonas Korpisalo when he's been in the net. Like you look back at the Flyers game on Sunday, overtime, right pad, extended, Korpisalo makes the save. That was an expected goal right there. You can see it right in front of you. That was and should have been a goal. Korpisalo kicked it out. So the Bruins, again, they're on track in all situations of expected goals against 284.03, which is 31st in the NHL. This is not the strongest defensive team. They allow a large amount of scoring chances, high danger chances, and Jeremy Swayman to a large extent, Korpisalo to a lesser extent, bailing this team out and keeping them at almost 50 fewer goals than expected. On top of that, the Bruins are scoring more than expected. 255 goals for. Their expected goals is 247, but that goals against 237 compared to 284 expected is what is keeping the Bruins in the playoff hunt right now, and Jeremy Swayman standing at the top of the list when it comes to goals saved above expected, 5-on-5, and in all situations. That is what is going to make him a Vezina Trophy finalist at the very least. And I would argue that he should be one of the favorites to win that award this season based on that expected goals saved above expected. All right. An incredible season so far for Jeremy Swayman. And I believe he should very much be a Vezina Trophy finalist and will be a huge reason why the Boston Bruins are able to succeed here down the stretch. We'll take a look at some of the other teams in the Eastern Conference and where they rank, what the Bruins might be facing in the playoffs here, as well as preview tonight's game against the Carolina Hurricanes as the podcast continues. The NBA playoffs are almost here. Every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a playoff spot and a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. All you have to do is head to FanDuel.com to get started. Of course, you can find odds for NHL playoffs as well. Just head to FanDuel.com, download the app, and play your game through the NBA and the Stanley Cup playoffs. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. So you're not just hoping the right candidates stumble across your post. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to their worldwide data. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Boston Bruins. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. Thank you for helping make Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. And if you are a regular listener of Locked On Boston Bruins, I encourage you to check out our Everydayer Club for just $5 a month. So the cost of a coffee at Starbucks, not even. You can get ad-free episodes plus access to a group chat with me and other listeners of the show on the Locked On Discord server. There's chats for all kinds of other stuff there as well. All you have to do is tap the link in the show notes or go to lockedonpodcasts.com/everydayer to learn more. All right, let's take a quick look at the Eastern Conference power rankings, and we'll just look at some of the teams who have the top expected goals for around the NHL or in the Eastern Conference specifically. And you can see that the better teams somewhat track with that stat. Right now, the Carolina Hurricanes are the top team in the NHL when it comes to expected goals for percentage. And they've actually scored fewer than expected. Right now, their expected goals against is around 226, and they've allowed 225 goals. Their goals for, though, is 270, and their expected goals is 290.53. So their offense can perhaps hit another level. And this is a team that the Bruins could very well face in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So tonight will be a huge test for this team to see how they stack up against a very good team in the Eastern Conference. Now, having said that, there's one vulnerability that I can pinpoint with the Carolina Hurricanes, and that's in net. Yeah, Brandon Bussi had this long win streak to begin the season, but untested when it comes to high leverage NHL games in the playoffs. Frederik Andersen is much more experienced, but he doesn't really have the, what do you want to call it? The solidity right now to really back a team for a playoff run. So that's an area when you look at Swayman versus a Carolina goalie where the Bruins could have the upper hand. The second best team when it comes to expected goals for percentage, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that is another team that the Bruins, actually they're third, sorry. Second team is Colorado Avalanche, arguably the Stanley Cup favorite heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs. And then you have the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have an expected goal differential of 276.57. That's for 229 against, 54.63. Their actual goal for differential puts them second in the NHL as well. So Carolina is fourth in that stat. Now there's a surprising Eastern Conference team who ranks third in the East in expected goals for, and that's the Ottawa Senators. This should be a much better team than they are. Unfortunately, they have allowed a lot more goals than expected right now. Expected goals against for the Senators is 219. They've actually allowed 237. And their save percentage is 87.35, which is second worst in the NHL. If Linus Ullmark can get hot and they can sneak into the playoffs, then they could be a dangerous team down the stretch here if they are able to hold on to their playoff spot, which they should be able to. The fourth place team in the Eastern Conference in terms of expected goal differential is your Philadelphia Flyers, the team that the Bruins just beat the other day. They too have been not getting the best goaltending all season long, and they have allowed they haven't scored as much as they would be projected to. Expected goals for the Flyers is 246. They've scored only 219. So whereas the Bruins are scoring more than expected and stopping more than expected, the Flyers aren't scoring nearly as much as expected. And they're sneaking into a playoff spot. They could get hot at the right time here and really make a bit of a run. Following the Flyers, so the top four teams in expected goal differential in the East. Carolina, Tampa, two of your Eastern Conference favorites. The Senators and the Flyers, who are coming on strong, sneaking into the playoffs here late. Then you have the Red Wings, who have really faltered as of late. Their expected goals is at 51.72. Then you have the Penguins, the New Jersey Devils, who actually just fired their general manager. The Florida Panthers are still up above expected. Their offense has not been there so far this season. 40 fewer goals than expected. Same with the Devils. They've got about 34 fewer goals than expected. a lot of these teams just not meeting the expectations when it comes to offense. And then you have the Panthers, the Blue Jackets, Sabres are below 50% when it comes to expected goal differential. And they are, in terms of goal differential, scoring more than expected and allowing far fewer than expected. So they're kind of in the same boat as our Boston Bruins. And I think if you're matching up the Bruins with a first round team, I'm picking the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, I know they beat Tampa last night, but they are very raw when it comes to playoff experience, and they don't have goalies who have played in the playoffs. Just look at what Jeremy Swayman did a couple of years ago against the Toronto Maple Leafs, played strong against the Florida Panthers as well. That's a team that I believe could be vulnerable. Carolina as well. I don't want to play Tampa in the first round. For rounding out the Eastern Conference power rankings by expected goal differential, the Bruins actually rank third worst in the East, behind the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New York Islanders, who just replaced their head coach. They're behind the Rangers and a bunch of teams that are outside of the playoffs. When it comes to goal differential, though, the Bruins rank 11th in the NHL and behind only Tampa, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Montreal, Ottawa. So they're right in the thick of it when it comes to those expected playoff teams. Jeremy Swayman's been a huge part of it. And when the offense falters like it is these days, as the last line of defense, him stepping up is what is keeping this team most competitive. And Korpisalo, to its credit, the other day. But the Bruins, need to keep the high-level goaltending and hope that some of their secondary offensive players, a.k.a. Morgan Geekie, are able to find the back of the net as early as tonight. A game we'll preview here as the podcast continues. Spring is a natural point for many. There's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money. It's messy communications. Missed calls, scattered texts, no clear thread of who said what. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. The part of everything lives in one clean thread: calls, texts, voicemails. The whole team sees the conversation so nothing falls through the cracks. Make this the season no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's quo.com/lockedonnhl. At Quo, there's no missed calls and no missed customers. All right, Bruins, Hurricanes tonight in Carolina, the end of this road trip. And heading into it, the Boston Bruins have a 98.1% chance of making the playoffs. What is on the line tonight? Well, it's a huge game because, you don't want to continue to drop points. The Bruins, according to Money Puck, have a 38.1% chance of winning this game. And if they do win in regulation, they'll be up to 99.8% chance of making the playoffs. If they lose to the Canes in regulation, they'll still be at 96.5%. So they'll still have a pretty strong chance of making the playoffs. If they pick up a point, they'll be at around 99.8 to 98.9% chance of making it. The teams that are chasing them are action tonight. We'll take a look at some games you need to keep an eye on, but just to quickly take a look at the game tonight between the Bruins and the Hurricanes. It's the third and final meeting between these two teams. They've actually split the season series. The Bruins winning 2-1 back on November 1st. The Hurricanes winning 3-1 on November 17th. And the Hurricanes 7-3-0 in their past 10, although they just lost to the Ottawa Senators as well. One of the few games that they've been outshot so far this season. The Bruins are 6-3-1 over their past 10, but of course have lost 3 in a row, picking up a single point the other night against the Philadelphia Flyers. Last 5 games, the Hurricanes are led in scoring by Andrei Svechnikov. He's got 4 goals. Sebastian Aho with 4 assists. Those are your 2 leading scorers for this team, although they still have Seth Jarvis, Nikolai Ehlers, Jackson Blake, Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven. Like, these are very good, deep team. Shane Gostisbehere, Keandre Miller on the back end. This is a team that you obviously cannot take lightly. Bussy's got an .895 save percentage. Anderson at .870. Jeremy Swayman's up to .908. And again, the best goalie in the NHL this season in terms of goals saved above expected. Carolina, 5th-ranked power play, 12th-ranked penalty kill. Boston's 9th on the power play, 26th on the penalty kill. Carolina, very good team offensively. 4th-ranked, goals 4 per game, 3.51. 7th-ranked defense. Bruins are 11th in offense and 16th in defense. This is a very good Carolina Hurricanes team, and the Bruins are going to be hard-pressed to finish this road trip with a win. But with Swayman in net, it's very possible. I saw Kevin Paul DuPont said the Bruins canceled their morning skate, giving the guys a little bit of extra rest. After this one, they have 3 days off until Saturday's game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And right now, you have the Bruins 6th in the East, 5 points up on both the Senators and the Flyers, 6 points up on the Islanders, who have 4 games remaining, and they are 7 points up on the Detroit Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets. They each have 5 games remaining on the schedule, so they can max out at 98 points. The Bruins, with 4 games remaining, can max out at 103 points. So they need to go like 500 at least here over the next 4 games, or the last 4 games, in order to secure a playoff spot. The games that you want to keep an eye on tonight around the NHL, you've got the Senators hosting Tampa Bay. You've got the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings, which, you know, those teams kind of out of it, but still could disrupt things because they have a game in hand on the Bruins. You got the Flyers taking on the Devils, and I believe that's it in terms of Eastern Conference playoff matchups. Again, the Bruins still in a very good spot here, despite dropping a few games in a row. If you look at the Athletics tracker, the Bruins still have a solid hold with regards to their projections. Their playoff projections have the Bruins right now at 96% chance of making the playoffs. And then, again, according to Money Puck, the Bruins are at 98%. 4 games remaining. They need to get around, let's say, 101 points. Not even, probably 99 points, because like I said, the Red Wings, Blue Jackets can top out at 98. The Islanders, with 4 games remaining, can top out at 98 as well. So the Bruins need 3 points from their last 4 games really here to clinch a playoff spot. They've got Carolina tonight. They've got Tampa on Saturday. They've got Columbus on Sunday. And then the New Jersey Devils next Tuesday at home. Hopefully they have things well in hand by then and can do what they have done in the past, which is call up some reinforcements for that final game in preparation for the playoffs. yeah, a lot still up in the air, a lot still up for grabs for the Boston Bruins. And I can't stress enough how important Jeremy Swayman is to this team. He should be a Vezina Trophy finalist, if not favorite, based on goals saved above expected. 5-on-5, all situations. He is the guy. And it's not enough just to look at save percentage anymore because that is a dwindling stat. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to Locked On Boston Bruins today. Tomorrow we'll recap whatever happens tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes, update the playoff picture, bring you all the latest on all things black and gold. So make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube so you get all the latest episodes. You can also follow along on socials at Locked NHL Bruins, mostly, I guess, X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. And if you never miss an episode or regularly listen, please do check out our Everydayer Club. $5 a month. You get Locked On Bruins ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonbruins.supercast.com to join the club. Check out Locked On 24/7 National Network YouTube channel. If you're sticking on YouTube, if you're on audio, make sure you listen to the NHL Game Night podcast on the Locked On NHL feed. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Please take care of yourselves, friends. Take care of each other. Go Bruins. Wish me luck at Cornhole tonight. Still looking for my first win of the season. And, we'll be back tomorrow with a fresh episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, your favorite team every single day.